The sheer weight of the questions surrounding the murder of Charlie Kirk continues to grow heavier. The core puzzle remains. How did Tyler Robinson, an otherwise unremarkable college student, transition from keyboard warrior to confessed political assassin? And how did he manage to execute his plot with such devastating clinical precision? The crime itself, a single rifle shot fired from a carefully calculated distance of 142 yards, suggests meticulous planning, a level of competence that seems to contradict the portrait of the emotionally volatile, ideologically obsessed young man revealed in his immediate self-incriminating texts. This is not just a murder. It is an interrogation of the modern American psyche, a tragedy born from the volatile intersection of digital fury and lethal capability. The earliest thread investigators pulled on was the weapon, the rifle itself, a powerful, high-caliber long gun, a gift from Robinson's own grandfather, embodying the very traditions of the conservative culture Robinson allegedly grew to despise. But the political right's connection to the murder doesn't end with the firearm. Robinson's own parents, a conservative Utah couple, were the key to his immediate capture, recognizing their son from the grainy surveillance images released by the FBI, images showing a man on a rooftop with a familiar weapon. They were thrust into the unimaginable position of choosing duty to the law over devotion to their child. Their cooperation, their willingness to facilitate the surrender was hailed as a moment of profound moral courage. How did a family so rooted in conservative values raise a son who would turn so violently against that world? The answer, according to the mother's statement, lay in the digital echo chambers, where Robinson was allegedly consumed by left-leaning ideologies, specifically embracing pro-trans rights rhetoric, culminating in his relationship with Twiggs. This connection forces the political right to acknowledge the profound power of online radicalization to sever familial and ideological ties. But the story twists again when we look at the other side of that text message conversation. Twiggs, Robinson's trans partner, became the state's star witness, the critical link that provided the prosecution with Robinson's immediate confession, the shocking admission, I'm sorry, and the chilling definitive motive, I had enough of his hatred. Twiggs's cooperation appears absolute, securing the political left's narrative. The assassin was driven by a righteous, albeit deranged hatred for Kirk's political views. Yet suspicion is an equal opportunity emotion in this case. The political left is now forced to confront the fact that one of their own, a member of a highly visible, marginalized community, was the intimate confidant and unwitting accomplice to an act of terror. The question arises, how much did Twiggs truly know? And why did Robinson, allegedly a meticulous planner, immediately compromise his own escape by texting the one person whose cooperation could guarantee his capture? Was this a calculated move for notoriety, or the emotional breakdown of a killer overwhelmed by the enormity of his act? Adding to the complexity are the crucial details now being actively shielded by law enforcement. The missing police video of Robinson's surrender is not just a bureaucratic oversight, it is a point of deep investigative distress. In any high-profile case, the video record of an arrest is sacrosanct, proof of due process and a defense against claims of mistreatment. For the Washington County Sheriff's Office to admit the footage of the alleged assassin calmly walking in, led by his own family, is no longer available due to a 30-day purge, strains credibility to the breaking point. For those on the political right who already mistrust the government's handling of conservative figures, this erasure is confirmation of a cover-up, suggesting the full story of Robinson's capture, or perhaps who else was involved, is deliberately being concealed. How can such a critical piece of evidence simply vanish? The absence of this video casts a long shadow over the entire official timeline. And then there's the evidence of premeditation, which is so unsettling it suggests a mind detached from reality. The high-powered rounds used in the shooting were reportedly inscribed with politically charged memes and messages, a grotesque blend of internet culture and murderous intent, including "Hey fascists, catch," and a nod to "Oh Bella Ciao." This level of detailed, personalized vengeance suggests a depth of political radicalization that demands a broader investigation into his digital footprint. How many others were engaging with him? How did online forums enable and egg on this kind of targeted, lethal hatred? The official report insists on a lone wolf, but the nature of the crime, the engraved bullets, the calculated distance, and the political statement screams of influence, perhaps even collaboration, from the dark, extremist corners of the internet. Furthermore, we cannot ignore the unsettling claim that Charlie Kirk may have been aware of a specific threat. The unverified but persistent rumors that he texted a staffer saying, "They are going to kill me," the day before his death inject a terrifying element of foreknowledge into the tragedy. If that message exists, how was this threat assessed? If law enforcement had any indication of a targeted attack, the failure to prevent this assassination would constitute a systemic breakdown of security apparatuses. This claim, regardless of its official status, keeps the story in the news and compels both sides to ask, was this an unpreventable tragedy, or was it a predictable outcome of escalating political hostility that our institutions chose to ignore? The story of Tyler Robinson, therefore, is not a simple criminal narrative. It's a terrifying mosaic of political obsession, digital anonymity, family heartbreak, and institutional failure. The missing police video, the compromising texts, the conservative family that turned in their radicalized son, each detail forces a national reckoning. How many other young people are sitting in their homes right now, crossing the line from political rhetoric to violent planning? And how many other critical pieces of evidence have simply been lost in this deeply fractured, politically charged investigation? The legal battle is just beginning, and with every court filing, the truth will continue to emerge, layer by uncomfortable layer. If you are serious about understanding this case, make sure you are subscribed and your notifications are on. We will not stop asking the hard questions.
The digging into this case is far from over. If the state is successfully concealing evidence of multiple people handling the murder weapon, the focus shifts entirely to the getaway vehicle and the immediate aftermath of the crime. The timeline the FBI presented was razor thin. Robinson fires the shot, flees the rooftop, drives for 3 hours, and then surrenders. But there are crucial, unexamined hours in that timeline. Hours where a potential second suspect could have easily disposed of critical evidence or even communicated with Robinson. The alleged getaway car, a modest sedan, was reportedly found parked near the surrender site. How did the prosecution verify the route taken? How did they conclusively rule out a prearranged exchange of vehicles or a rendezvous point where Robinson handed off items to a second conspirator before his self-described gentle surrender? The answer is simple. They haven't provided that proof because it might lead the investigation in a direction they desperately want to avoid. The defense team is preparing a powerful counter-narrative, one that turns the prosecution's own evidence against them. They will argue that the texts provided by Lance Twiggs are evidence not of a lone mastermind, but of a young man under duress or severely compromised. The texts, which are unnervingly specific, read less like a spontaneous confession and more like a carefully crafted script designed to ensure the political motive was undeniable. Why would a killer, supposedly meticulous enough to engrave his bullets and plan a 142-yard shot, be so reckless as to provide a complete, documented motive to his partner while on the run? The defense will suggest that Robinson was coached, coerced, or simply following instructions designed to guarantee his capture and solidify the lone wolf story. This theory, that Robinson was the sacrificial lamb, is bolstered by the fact that the only physical evidence the state has been eager to share is the evidence that points solely and directly at him. The political implications of this selective disclosure are profound. For those on the right, the continued suppression of the full DNA evidence and the missing surrender video validates the fear that the establishment is collaborating to suppress details of a coordinated attack on one of their own. They see this not as a criminal case, but as a political prosecution designed to contain the story. For those on the left, the revelation of a wider, organized plot suggests an even more frightening reality: that the radicalization of individuals like Robinson is being actively exploited and orchestrated by larger, unnamed groups willing to use them as disposable agents.
The failure to uncover the full conspiracy represents a dangerous precedent, suggesting that even in the highest profile acts of political violence, certain truths are deemed too destabilizing to reveal. We are left with a chilling reality. A young man's life is on the line, and the state's key pieces of evidence, the confession texts and the single shooter narrative, are undercut by their own investigative failures and omissions. Every detail they withhold, every question they refuse to answer about the second DNA profile, about the vanishing video, and about the alleged final threat to Charlie Kirk deepens the shadow of doubt. It forces every citizen to look at the institutions charged with maintaining order and ask, are they protecting the truth or are they protecting themselves? The upcoming pretrial motions will be where the defense forces the state to show its full hand. We are tracking every document filed. If you want to know what the FBI is hiding in this unprecedented case, ensure your subscription is active and the notification bell is on. The full, unsettling picture of this assassination is still taking shape. The narrative that Tyler Robinson was an isolated actor driven by rage fails not just the forensic tests, but the logistical ones. The precision required for the shot itself, 142 yards, a difficult angle, and the use of a high-powered rifle suggests not only technical proficiency, but also extensive practice. Robinson was a college student, not a seasoned marksman. This is where the conspiracy theorist, and now, increasingly, the defense team are focusing their attention. The training. How does a young man acquire the skill set necessary to execute a political assassination of this caliber without leaving a trace in shooting ranges or known paramilitary camps? The answer must lie in the gap between his recorded life and the lethal result. The defense is demanding full access to Robinson's digital history, not just for the incriminating political posts, but for any evidence of encrypted communications, training videos, or contacts with known domestic extremist groups who specialize in urban warfare tactics. They are not looking for his motive, they are looking for his instructor. The very act of the assassination, placing the rifle and ammunition in a towel and leaving it on the roof, speaks to a psychological detachment that goes beyond simple political fury. It was a calculated, theatrical flourish designed to draw maximum attention to the message, the engraved bullets, while leaving the least traceable forensic trail possible for the person. This level of cold, methodological planning suggests a mind operating under extreme ideological discipline, perhaps cultivated and reinforced by external forces. The failure of law enforcement to immediately and transparently disclose the existence of a second DNA profile on that towel reinforces the darkest fears that they quickly identified a co-conspirator and have elected to classify that information to protect the ongoing integrity of an investigation that goes far beyond Tyler Robinson. This systematic lack of disclosure forces a painful realization upon us all. We live in a society that is willing to accept a neat, emotionally satisfying answer, the enraged lone gunman, even if the evidence suggests a wider, more terrifying plot. The case of Charlie Kirk is no longer just a tragedy about political violence. It is a profound moral indictment of our institutions. They are prioritizing containment over truth, sacrificing full accountability to prevent a national panic over organized extremism operating within our borders. The legal battle over the missing surrender video is set to be the first major showdown. The defense will argue that the deliberate destruction of this evidence, proof of how Robinson was brought into custody, is an illegal obstruction. They will argue that the video might have shown Robinson being directed by another individual outside the frame, or might have captured a person of interest accompanying him who was never processed or questioned. The prosecutor's insistence that the video was simply wiped after 30 days is an insult to the seriousness of this case, and it ensures that this trial will be conducted under the constant weight of suspicion. The court must decide whether the search for justice is more important than protecting the convenience of the state. We cannot look away from the fact that this silence from the authorities only serves to deepen the divides that caused the crime in the first place. Every day that passes without full transparency, those on the right are convinced of a hostile cover-up, and those on the left are denied the full scope of the radicalization that drove the killer. The victims here are not just Charlie Kirk and his family, but the public trust itself. We are tracking the defense's motion to compel that video evidence. The fight to reveal the truth will happen in the courtroom. Don't miss a single step of this explosive legal battle. Ensure you are subscribed now and click that notification bell. The full story of the assassination plot is still out there, waiting to be found in the documents the government doesn't want us to see.